Welcome to the Tending Our Nets podcast, where we believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ. We encourage everyone to learn more. We work to equip believers to share their faith with everyone they know.
All right, welcome to the Tending Our Nets podcast. My name is Joshua Sherman, and I am your host here. We're focused on the gospel on this podcast. We want to try to help Christians to be better equipped to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with other people. One of our contentions is that we need to understand the gospel in more depth to do this. Last time what we did is we went through the Romans Road approach to the gospel, or to explaining the gospel, and talked about a few of the strengths and weaknesses of it. Today, I want to go a little bit more into that reflection, just so we can prepare to really start talking about the gospel in a more expansive way. So, Romans Road, a few reflections on my part, and this is not to be critical. Again, what I'm saying when I critique this is that this is a great tool to use when you have very little time to present the gospel, and it's a great tool to use to help people understand kind of the basics so that it's easier for them to share with people. But there are some weaknesses to it, and I think as we look at those weaknesses and as we dive into more detail on what the gospel actually contains, how expansive and beautiful it is, the things that the Romans Road approach doesn't really include, then that's going to help us to better be prepared to share the gospel. So what are some of the weaknesses of the Romans Road approach? I would say a few things. One, it uses language we don't often use anymore, and it uses concepts that a lot of people don't understand anymore. So you think about concepts like eternal life. Like some people might kind of know what that means, but what does it really mean? Are we talking about going to heaven? Are we talking about resurrection? What exactly are we talking about, right? So there's a lack of specificity there that might lead some people to be a little bit confused about what really the Christian view of the afterlife is. It also uses language and concepts that people may not really accept. So you think about sin. Like, do they really understand what sin means anymore? And do people really accept this? And that's not to say that we need to tailor everything that we're talking about into categories that people will accept, because the honest truth is, if they are in a place where they are in rebellion against God, they're not exactly going to accept much of anything, right? But I do think we can be aware of the places where we sometimes use language that is so kind of understood within the church, but not really used outside the church, right? So we can be thoughtful about, how do we talk about that? Do we talk about being broken? Do we talk about being rebellious? Do we talk about being harmful, right? These are all different ways that we can talk about sin. Disrespectful to God, that's another one that might work pretty well, right? Ways that we can talk about that without necessarily, always using the terms that people don't really understand, and then not explaining it. So they're kind of left a little bit like, I don't really know what this means and I don't care, right? Another thing, it quotes from the Bible quite a bit, and a lot of people don't consider the Bible worth listening to anymore. And that obviously is not a weakness that we're going to get over anytime soon, because our source of authority and teaching is the Bible. But I do think it points to something that we may be able to do well if we're really prepared for it. And that, there are ways that I think that we can help people understand the truth of the Bible through the world around them and their experience, and through kind of shared ideas that they may not really accept if you just give them chapter and verse, but you start showing them how that relates to things that they already see or already believe. That can be a way to build bridges with people. And lastly, the Romans Road presents the important core of the gospel about Jesus, but it misses a lot of detail because it's so condensed. This is useful for quick evangelism, but not necessarily for initial engagement with people that we know. So that's my quick kind of why dive a little bit deeper than just this Romans Road approach. And next, we're going to be getting into kind of the positive reasons to dive deeper, instead of just looking at the reasons that we might want to set aside something that is so condensed and study further. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and like and write reviews. All those things help. So really look forward to that, to get the word out so that more and more Christians can become better equipped to reach other people with the gospel of Jesus Christ. God bless.
You've been listening to the Tending Our Nets podcast. If you like what you hear, check us out at the Raven Creek Social Club and by searching for us on social media via Tending Our Nets.
Raise us up to bear